You all, good morning. Welcome to BVI Finance Breakfast Forum. This morning we'll discuss financial services training opportunities with my guest today, Ms. Rose Chapman. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Rose is a principal tutor, regulatory compliance and AML program development manager at HLSCC Robert Mathavious Institute, or the RMI. The RMI offers a wide range of courses and certifications in financial services industry, and which is one of the main economic pillars here in the British Virgin Islands. So before we get started, Rose, if I'll just go and give you our audience a background on you. Rose Chapman is a global head of compliance for a leading travel commerce platform and solutions provider. She has over 20 years of experience working in compliance and ethics in global organizations. She is accustomed to the demands and challenges faced by business professionals and compliance teams working in fast-moving, culturally diverse, and constantly changing environments. She is a lecturer and training manual writer reviewer for the ICA in postgraduate diplomas and certificates in compliance, and a member of the Institute of Money Laundering Prevention Officers Committee, and a recognized speaker and expert voice on anti-money laundering. She is a published author, and her book can be found on Amazon, titled Anti-Money Laundering, A Practical Guide to Reducing Organizational Risk. So again, welcome, Rose. Thank you for being here. Do you want to go straight into the presentation before I get into asking questions?
Yes, that would be a good idea. Thank you for the introduction, and I'll just wrestle the technology. So please bear with me for a moment whilst I get this set up.
Yes.
Okay, so Adriana, can you see my screen?
Yes, everyone can.
Awesome. Marvelous. Okay, so today, and thank you BVI Finance for inviting me to do this breakfast forum. It's very much appreciated. And I'm talking, as you know, about the International Compliance Association's courses that are run by the RMI here in the BVI. So let's just see which click will click me on to the next slide. That one. Okay. So bringing in the BVI then, these are all international courses. And when you have international courses, yes, it's very interesting because you know then that you're really in the forefront of international finance. But that doesn't necessarily teach you about the context of the jurisdiction that you're living in. And clearly, if you're working and in the financial services industry here, you need to know about the BVI legal and regulatory context, and not just generally across the world. That would have limited application. So it provides a local relevance to the course and to what is expected in what is an international industry. So there are two advanced certificates that we run at RMI. And that's the International Advanced Certificate in Regulatory Compliance and International Advanced Certificate in Anti-Money Laundering. Now, the first word of all of my courses is international. So if you were just looking to do something with regards to BVI and not be part of the International Finance Centre, then you wouldn't need an international course. But really, we are an international finance centre, and it's all about relevance in the world today. So these courses, these advanced certificates, they're level 4 courses. And what that means is they're equivalent as the same as the year 1 of a bachelor's degree with honours. So you're going in at really the beginning of a detailed course on that subject. You're not expected to know a lot about it as you join. So the advanced certificates then, they last approximately 6 months, perhaps a little longer if you're waiting for your results from your second assignment, but the work and effort takes about 6 months. There are 2 assignments of 2,000 to 2,500 words each. If you're trying to earn marks, of course, for what you're writing, then the more relevant writing that you produce, the more marks you're going to be able to earn. So I always recommend to write 2 assignments of 2,500 words each, as approximately as you can. There are no timed examinations in any of these ICA courses. When I did my diplomas, there were assignments, 2 assignments and a 3-hour exam, which you had to attend in person, even if you were traveling hundreds of miles to get to the examination centre. Thankfully, technology and general practice has moved on apace since then. So I'm really pleased with the way that it's working now, that we can actually all work towards assignments over those 6 months and actually achieve an international qualification. The cost for the advanced certificates is $2,750. Now, this may seem a price to pay, but it hasn't gone up at all since I first joined in the RMI Financial Services Institute, as it used to be. And there's an ICA membership, which is really, really important to have right at the beginning of the course, because the ICA do provide student study resources. And of course, you can't put your assignment in without having access to their portal. So that's a really important thing. It seems like a small amount of money, but it provides you with a lot of information. Okay, so in the advanced certificates for both of them, the content of the course doesn't require you to have any previous experience in financial services. There is at the RMI an introduction to financial services, which you may wish to take. If you are a real beginner and you just want to make sure that you hit the ground running on your advanced certificate, then of course that's an option. But it does require you, the advanced certificates do require you to have a sound educational background and good written English. There is it's business English. That's basically what we're talking here. And of course that goes with the international context. Because when I was in my role as Global Head of Compliance and Ethics, we worked in 66 countries. So you couldn't have any little local sayings or manner of speaking in any of it, because you're talking to people from all over the world. And that's what the ICA likes students to be able to do. So what's in the advanced certificates then? There's a lot of information that will come to you, and it's relevant for all of these groups of people that I have on here on this slide. So if you're new to the world of compliance and anti-money laundering, you're going to be given a lot of information, and some of it is background information. And of course, then you have to know how to use the information. So it's very much relevant to employees who are recently joining compliance or anti-money laundering, or those who wish to move into that area from whatever field you've been in before. Of course, if you're already working in these fields already, then that may be in your role, so often is the case, that you get to work and you have responsibilities at work. So you see part of the picture and you get really proficient at that part of the picture, but you don't see the wider picture. And of course, the advanced certificates will help you to learn more about the whole picture, the whole world really of compliance and anti-money laundering. It's also very useful for those employees with management responsibilities. If you're actually aiming to improve your compliance on an AML setup, you know, your processes, procedures, your framework, you might think, oh, well, I'll be able to ask employees, really, my priorities are to do this and this then, and rather than just carry on with what you were doing. So it has a broad application. So the actual content then in the advanced certificate, and actually this takes forward to the diplomas as well, understanding the regulatory environment. Now that's, you know, 4 words, and there's an awful lot that goes with that. to actually understand what regulations are for and to how to apply them, where they come from, where they're going. It's a huge subject all on its own. International regulation is very, very significant in what we do in compliance every day and anti-money laundering. We only have to think of the Financial Action Task Force mutual evaluation that's forthcoming here in the BVI to know how international regulation and best practice affects us locally. Compliance in practice is a big part of the advanced certificate and the diploma. What would you do in certain situations? You need, of course, to understand the regulatory environment to know how to apply compliance in practice. So it's all a flow, really. And then key compliance subjects, and you'll notice here that key compliance subjects, even in the regulatory compliance and governance risk and compliance diploma, include sanctions, anti-money laundering, environmental social governance and financial crime prevention. And this ESG is new to the ICA. It's been around for a while, of course, and I'm waiting for the first question to come out that includes ESG, but they haven't produced one quite yet. So in anti-money laundering then, we look at the money laundering and terrorist financing sanctions risks that have to be managed. What exactly are they? As MLRO or someone working in anti-money laundering, what do we, what is our context? What are we looking at? International bodies and standard setters, hugely important again, as are the national legal and regulatory frameworks. We look at initial and ongoing due diligence, transactions and suspicious activity. And we look also at, the high risk products. What are the high risk products? Maybe if we're dealing with those products every day, they don't feel like they're high risk to us anymore. They're just products, aren't they? So it's actually really good to understand the risks involved with the business and of course the local international finance centre here in the BVI. Every country is different. They all have their own specific issues. So this course, these two courses, the certificate and the diploma, help you to better understand exactly what they are in our context. So there are diplomas, governance, risk and compliance and anti-money laundering, again, international in their view, and they are level 6 courses. Now, level 6 courses, they're a whole step up from the level 4 courses. It's as though you're on your 3rd year now of your bachelor's degree with honours. So you're in your final exams of a bachelor's degree. Level 6 courses, they do require some good information that you have yourselves, your prior knowledge and skills, as it were, for these courses. They're approximately 9 months in duration for the work involved, and there are 3 assignments of 3,000 to 3,500 words each. So still, these are not massive assignments. When the ICA set their questions, maybe you'll have 5 different parts to your assignment, and you've only got 700 words each to put in. And then very quickly, you're thinking, gosh, how can I fit all of this information in so few words? So don't be put off by the word count. It doesn't just get given to you in one blob of 3,500. There are sections within the assignments that you need to address the word count on within that. So the cost of the diplomas is 5,050, plus again the ICA membership of 150. So if you're studying for an ICA diploma and you do the advanced certificate first in your chosen area of study, for less than $10,000, you're achieving an internationally recognized qualification at bachelor's degree level. That's phenomenal, really. If you were to go away for 1 year and needed to do your own accommodation, for instance, and maintenance, it would cost a lot of money. So really, to get to degree level, personally, I think that it's it's definitely worth the cost. So with the diploma, there are entry requirements, as you would expect. So the prior entry requirements are a degree or professional qualification in an appropriate discipline. And yes, that is worded to be very woolly because there are so many different degrees on offer these days and qualifications that it's a very broad church, as it were, in the entry requirements from that route. An ICA advanced certificate, either in regulatory compliance or in anti-money laundering, of course, will be fine, because you're set up then with information that you will need to take forward to your diploma. Or 3 years relevant work experience is a qualification to start your diploma. However, as I say, if you've been working for a company or an organisation, government organisation even, you won't necessarily have covered all of the areas that would be required for your diploma. But it's very broad, and I'm very happy to look. Well, we always look at every application in person, and each one is different. So class delivery then, how do we deliver these, or how do I deliver these classes? So I like to provide the broadest access to the classes as is humanly possible that I know of, and that is in person. So the classes are offered in person. They are also offered at the same time online, and all of the sessions are recorded. Now, this does vary with the requirements of particular customers who may say, we don't want any in-person classes, we just want recorded sessions, please. Others may say, well, I would like to be in person, I don't really want the recording. So it's all very flexible. But just to give you an idea, so you've, let's say you've registered for a class and it's starting today, and you've said, oh yes, I want an in-person class, please. And then at the last minute, oh no, you're at work, something's happened. Or maybe you have a family commitment that's come up during the day. So you go home and you simply log on. That's absolutely your free choice. We're all adults here, we're all professionals, if you want to attend online, then that's absolutely fine. If you can't attend on the day, I do check attendance, obviously, because I want to make sure that my students are getting the best access to the information. So if you can't attend, just let me know that you won't be able to attend that day, and you'll have access, along with everyone else on the course, to the recorded session. And I send these out with the presentations the following morning after the class. So that's about it. This is the way the courses are delivered, and I would welcome any questions, and I shall stop sharing the screen now. Okay.
Thank you, Rose, for that thorough presentation. Does anyone have any questions pertaining to the courses offered or the presentation that Rose just gave? In the meantime, I think maybe for some persons who are logged in, maybe talk about why compliance and AML is important and in demand for financial services, in particular in the BVI right now.
Okay, so over the years, I've been in compliance for decades. And at the beginning, it was almost voluntary. Organizations could be, there were self-determining regulators. It wasn't as formal as it is now. Over the years, it's become more and more essential that people know. I mean, when I was a junior compliance advisor, there wasn't really the impetus for compliance, for regulatory compliance at all. But over the years, the criminals, of course, have used the financial services system all over the world. And gradually, compliance, regulatory compliance has raised its is profile, if you like. Now you'll get compliance officers on the boards of companies. They're there not just to know their technical content of what they need, it may be, you know, considered by the board. Now it's really front and central. And if we think about anti-money laundering, in the third round of mutual evaluations, which the BVI had all those years ago, 2008, I'm thinking, a long while, we had technical competence. Now then, so FATF wanted to know, oh, do you have the laws? Yeah, have you got the regulations? Have we got everything on paper that looks good? That was the question then. Now there is the requirement for them actually to be effective. Now that's a whole new ball game, and it just means raising the game for all industry participants. And we see the, you know, the FSC has mutual evaluation reports on its website. You can access them, and we can see how other Caribbean jurisdictions have done and the detail they go into. It covers, the mutual evaluations cover all of the 40 recommendations. Are they effective? So of course, it's hugely important now that people are skilled and qualified. Are you competent to do this role? Do we know? Well, before you might think, oh, well, you know, you're here, you're applied, we like you, we'll take you on. Now they're thinking, gosh, when we take this person on, do they actually know what it is they have to do? Because it matters to us. We don't want, as a company, to fail FSC inspections and be only partially compliant or non-compliant, because both of those are failures these days. It's when you get to largely compliant and completely compliant, you know, overall, that's when you pass. The bar has been raised. So it's hugely important now for people to come forward and get themselves qualified to be able to show that here in the BVI, we have people locally who are qualified to international standards and are perfectly able to take up these roles in financial services, which gives you, as far as I'm concerned, of course I'm biased, but I did work in financial services for, you know, 25 odd years now. I've never had a bored day in my life, never once been bored, always been challenging, always something new to learn, always something else that can be done. It's a fab career. I think so.
That sounds very interesting, Rose. Well, I mean, I see some of it going on, so yeah, I would agree. Maybe what would happen if persons or institutions or even countries aren't compliant, and maybe you can stress that point too as to why a person should get certified or seek higher learning.
Yes, yes. So it really does matter if we come out of the FATF, if we just stick with that for now, mutual evaluation well, because we don't want to be on a grey list, and we certainly don't want to be on a blacklist. So the grey lists occur when countries fail to achieve the required level of compliance with the FATF recommendations. And what that means is the country and all of the individuals, the regulators, the financial services firms, they are under heightened reporting requirements. I believe between the first report coming out and then perhaps being able to come off the grey list is at least 3 reports over a period of, I believe, around 3 years. So you've got a lot of reporting there, you've got a lot of data acquisition, you've got a lot of follow-up. It sort of takes your eye off the ball. And we want to be here a thriving international finance centre. So we want to make sure that before we're mutually evaluated, we have sufficient compliance, sufficiently educated people, sufficient people who really care about this international finance centre and its success. And to have that, you need to have people who are qualified. Part of the mutual evaluation, I have absolutely no doubt, is going to look at the level of education background of people in financial services, because from that you can actually judge whether you would expect there to be sufficient improvement in the capability, or are we going to go out and say, well, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to draw on the expat community again, get more people in. So my mission, if I have one, is to ensure that when these financial services roles come up, there are sufficient BVI lenders and belongers, people who are committed to living here, committed to this jurisdiction, who are qualified to take up the positions of senior management eventually. It's not just a qualification, you need experience, that takes time, but it's building blocks. This is why people need to qualify now. It's it helps you enormously moving forward. When I did my requalification by doing these 2 diplomas in compliance and anti-money laundering, it actually enabled me, it set me up to be accepted at the Institute of Advanced Legal Studies at University of London to do a master's in law. And once I'd done that master's in law, I was eligible, or I was approached to become the global head of compliance and ethics. So these diplomas, the certificates and the diplomas, they can really kickstart your career and give you a lot of options as to where you would like to be in your career, basically.
So I know you mentioned the goal is to have more BVI lenders be certified, but can you tell us what are the requirements to sign up for this course, if there are any in particular you want to highlight?
Okay, so let's go for the advanced certificates then for this one. There are no real requirements for this course, to sign up for this course. What you do need though is to be able to read a question, analyze what the question wants you to do, and answer the question. That's the basics. So the course is tailored specifically. I tailor all of my classes. I read the assignment questions. I tailor all of the classes to highlight that information that the students will need to be able to answer those questions. That's why I'm a tutor. You know, this is what a tutor would do, so it's quite normal, but this is what I do, so that if you come into the course and you think, gosh, well, look at all of this information I've been given, where on earth do I start? The classes will give you the starting points. They'll set you on a track to be able to answer each of those assignment questions. So it's, people have come to me from different walks of life, without mentioning any names, of course. I have security guards come through, police officers, waitresses, administrative assistants, just people who are working and thinking, oh, this might be interesting. I wonder if I can gain a career path from this. And the results of that have been quite, I think, pretty amazing, really excellent. A waitress who came forward, so she would be working, just doing her shifts, doing her course. That's great. And when she finished the course and was qualified, applied and got a few interviews, got a few job offers, and actually didn't have to take the first job that was offered. Oh, thank goodness I've got a job. No, she had the actual choice of which to take. Now, I just think that's marvelous. You know, it's wonderful. And so if you're thinking, well, what do I need to do? You do have to do the work. You do have to do the reading. And I always say to my students, after you've received the class, start drafting your answer. Because in my experience, even writing the book, I would write, you know, some paragraphs for the book and come back to it later and think, gosh, why on earth did I write that? That's rubbish, you know, I'm going to start again. and this is what students find. and you know, they'll say, oh, I started off writing this and now I see that I should be doing that. So just give yourself time. Don't think to do it. Start on Friday before the Monday when it's due to go in. So give yourself time, even if you have children or a job, if you give yourself perhaps, you know, 4 hours a week, that would be good, I think. 2 to 4 hours a week outside of the classes for each time, and actually start drafting, you'll do yourself a lot of favors. So that's what I would say is the more important thing. Once you've committed to the course, to actually, you know, really attend to the course contents and apply yourself to it.
Okay, we have a question. The price is listed from an anonymous attendee. The price is listed at $2,750 plus $150 membership. Is the $2,750 a one-time payment, or can it be paid in installments?
Oh, yes, it can be paid in installments. In fact, most students do pay in installments. There is a payment plan in place, and all you have to do is to say that that's what you want to do. There's no qualifying requirement for that. If you want to do a payment plan, yes, absolutely. That's available to all students.
All right, and until anyone else has a question, I wanted to say, what are the benefits of the ICA membership?
Very good question. So apart from giving you access, if you haven't been a member of the ICA before, it gives you access to a lot of up-to-date information. Some of it is just opinion, some of it is highlighting cases, some of it is resources such as webinars. If you're a student and you have access, you will have access to the ICA portal. It's improved very, very much. So if you were a student before and perhaps are coming back to your studies now, it's just a whole, you know, world away from what it was even a few years ago. There are webinars that are on there. There are sections that do highlight what, you know, perhaps what is meant. There's a compliance insights piece that you can access, and sometimes they'll ask a question which is really specific, like money laundering in the art market, and you think, whoa, you know, specific. And then you look on compliance insights and you can see what they're driving at. What's the point of them asking you that question? So there's a lot of information there. And also nowadays they do seminars. So if you're a student and you are you go online and you see when the student seminars are, you can actually attend their seminars too. I do believe that they do recordings of those because, of course, the timings are not necessarily convenient for us here in the BVI, but they do recordings of them which are available to students. There's also student support if you have issues. There's a student forum, so maybe you have got a question at the back of your mind that you haven't actually asked yet, but would be useful to have the answer for, you know, and you'll find that other students are asking that question too. So it's like, oh, not just me then, it's others too asking the question. So it's actually a really useful membership to have. Some people like to be able to put their membership with their name and say that they're an associate of the ICA. That's also very useful in certain circumstances. So there are definitely benefits. $150 for the membership, I think, is good value.
I think so too. We have another question. What are the current diploma courses being offered now?
That is a very good question. So usually we have one diploma class and one advanced certificate class available for each semester, which would be one in the spring and one in the fall. At the moment, we have all 4 of those courses available for registration. The diploma in anti-money laundering has already started, as has the diploma in governance, risk and compliance, but we've only had session 1 so far, and it will be quite easy for students to catch up on those courses. So those are both diplomas still available, just started. For the advanced certificates, there's one starting on the 10th of October and one on the 3rd. So let me just check. Okay, paperwork here. So the advanced certificate in regulatory compliance, I believe, is on the 3rd of October. If it's not, it's on the 10th. Forgive me, it's escaped my mind for the moment, but they're coming up. So the regulatory compliance one is the regular schedule course for the fall. So that's going to be on a Monday, and the classes will be in person, online, and recorded. The other one is the advanced certificate in anti-money laundering, and that course is a previously recorded course. So each session I'm going to record, that will go out on a Monday too. Now the reason for this is that partly is that I have run out of days of the week on which to teach the courses, but the demand is such that we have the requirement. We've had a request for this course, and always happy to work towards delivering everything possible that I can. So this is a pre-recorded course, but students will still be able to have one-to-ones with me. I am situated in Road Town, as you know, BVI Finance offices, so central Road Town, and I'm happy to have one-to-ones with students. So the short answer is that all of these courses are available this fall, and that's the first time in my experience that this has been the case.
I'm looking to see, are there any other questions? I have one. Someone says, Suzanne Palmer, apologies if this was stated previously. What are the levels of the program, and what is the starting course?
Okay, so the starting courses for the ICA are basically the advanced certificates, and these are level 4 courses. So it's as though you are just starting university. It would be you've finished your schooling, and you've gone off, and you're thinking, what am I going to specify now? What am I going to become an expert in? And it's that level of course. It's a level 4. Now at the at the RMI, we do have an introduction to compliance, which is at level 2, and that is a basic course, and everything in that course, when you're examined on that course, all you need to do is to learn the information and be able to put that specific information onto a page. So that's at a really basic level for the introduction. But when you come to the ICA courses, you just need to have a good level of written English, a good educational standard, so that when you look at a question that the ICA will set, you'll have had the information for the course, but it's more like problem solving, analysis, critical analysis. Oh, I'm being asked a question. What does that question mean? What would I do in a certain circumstance? How would that affect my firm? How would that affect the territory as an international finance centre? So it's at that level. So that's the advanced certificates. And with the diplomas, they are at the 3rd year of a bachelor's degree with honours. So by that time, you're expected to know as much as if you are on your 3rd year. You are just doing your finals now. And so the questions there, it would be scenarios. So you'll be given a scenario to analyse. So with the information that you have from your diploma, from your advanced certificate, because they all run into each other, as it were, more basics in the advanced certificates, more in depth in the diplomas, as you would expect. And you're expected to be able to provide guidance. You're expected to really know you're the MLRO now, you're the compliance officer, you're in a senior position. You're going to be able to advise your board and your senior management as to what to do next. So that's the levels that they are pitched at.
Rose, can you tell us why it's important, or why to choose to do this at the RMI rather than just trying to do this online at an ICA course or something?
Yes. So the ICA courses are available online as ICA courses, but you don't get with them any jurisdictional context. And that is very important to be able to answer any ICA questions, because they always say choosing a jurisdiction and an industry sector, answer this question that's going to be relevant to, say, a trust company in the British Virgin Islands. So you need to know your laws and your regulations for the BVI. You need to know what's happening here. So when I first arrived here, I thought, whoa, this is a new jurisdiction, then I better learn this. So I spent about 3 or 4 months just researching what I would need to know, how to advise students as to what they would need to know to be able to answer the ICA questions. So that's basically, that's the point. Here with the ICA, you wouldn't get any tutorials. So as I was saying earlier, when I look at the assignment questions, that's when I write my classes, because I'm thinking, oh, this question, this whole assignment is completely on sanctions. So therefore, that means that the students are going to need some in-depth knowledge on sanctions. So I write the classes to satisfy that requirement. Now, that you would not get unless you do your course with RMI, of course. That's the bonus. And if you have issues, or if you wish to come in for one-to-one, then they are available the whole time. I'm basically around, or we can have them online, whatever. So there's the bespoke content, shall we say, that RMI provides that you wouldn't get anywhere else.
And of course, your book, Anti-Money Laundering, your practical guide to reducing some of the organizational risk. I read some of the reviews.
Oh.
And everyone, oh yes. And they were all A1, all 4 to 5 stars. And now they just don't have the book, but they have the author available for questions and guidance. But maybe tell us more about the book and what inspired you to write it.
Okay, so the inspiration for the book was actually an approach from the publisher to say, we'd like you to write a book. And I thought, really? Are you crazy? And so I looked at, they were wanting somebody to bring out basically how people should be in compliance with anti-money laundering regulations. If you're a money laundering reporting officer or a senior officer in a firm, well, what are you going to do? It's like a foreign land, how are you going to deal with this? So what I did in the book was to set out the anti-money laundering framework that would benefit a firm to actually achieve compliance. Is a practical guide. It's not meant to be an academic work that is looked at in universities particularly. It's meant to be something that, if you are going into anti-money laundering or financial services generally, you'd really benefit from knowing the practice. And actually in the book, I like my case studies. I do like my case studies. And I didn't have far to go for the case studies. So every single case study in that book is true. I have taken away the people and I have taken away the firms, but I have not taken away anything that happened. And, when you look at the case studies in the book, you might think, well, that would never happen. Really?
Oh, and they did.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It did. So I was very pleased to be asked. They asked me because I was global head of compliance at the time, and they could see that I was doing work for the ICA. At that time, it was more pro bono work. I was asked to do some from my employer. We all were in legal, so I was doing that. And what they liked was they said that I knew the theory, So I knew what I was doing. I had the master's in financial regulation and economic law, etc. I had all of that. So they thought that I'd be able to articulate what it was that people would need to know. And I hope that's what I've achieved, because that's what I used to do. And this was really the articulation of my career in working in that environment.
So I know that the RMI offers other short professional courses. Can you take any of these courses at the same time that you're doing your certification in compliance?
You can. Some people actually, there are people now who are actually taking the introduction to compliance at the same time as they are just about to start the advanced certificate. Yes.
Oh, wow.
And that's to make sure that they can they give themselves the best opportunity of achieving the best results in their advanced certificates and with the ICA courses. What I would guard against is for people to spread themselves too thin. I have seen it a time or two now, actually, and whilst I've been here, that folks know they're a good student, they know they can do this course, this is not going to be a problem, but they underestimate the time that they're going to have to spend on the research for it, perhaps to get to the actual answers for the question. And as soon as you decide, oh, well, I really know around this course, it's fine, I'm just going to write from my own knowledge of, I won't bother with the course manual, I'll just wing it. Well, that doesn't work. It really, really doesn't work. You need to know what the ICA want you to know, and that is what the international community needs you to know to be qualified internationally. So you can do 2 at a time, but I would really recommend that people would go through the courses 1 at a time and do them in quick succession. Several of my students have just been finishing perhaps the introduction to compliance, and they're starting on the advanced certificate. The minute that the advanced certificate is finishing, they're already starting their diploma. And to me, that's a master stroke. That's definitely the way to go, because, when we are grown up, we're mature students, and we have families, we have professional roles, maybe we have activities outside for our church or for our sporting community. So there's a lot of demands on our time. But if you have returned as a mature student and you've got over the shock of being a student again, which really is a thing, and I believe you should just continue and finish the courses to the highest level that you wish to acquire, because it is a discipline. And actually, in anti-money laundering and in governance, risk and compliance and regulatory compliance, there are changes the whole time. So you need to keep up to date with those. So if you were to do, say, the advanced certificate now, and then think, oh, in about 5 years' time, I'll do the diploma, I've got all the information, I'll just carry on. There's likely to be new laws and regulations, new priorities, lots of new things. So your advanced certificate wouldn't, I believe, help you so much as if you carried on to the diploma now. And that would mean if you did the whole from introduction to compliance, say, to the end of your diploma, it's about, I think it's about 15 months. That's what it would take. So 15 months to go from kind of zero to hero in qualifications in international financial services. I think that's time well spent.
I think so too. So tell us, how can persons sign up or register for the course?
Yes, there is a portal. There's access online. In fact, will the presentation be sent to attendees? Because it's on the last slide. Yeah, I missed out the last slide. I think it's all on there. So you can if you just put in RMI, BVI RMI into a search engine, online, it will all come up. There's if Robert Mathavious Institute, just search and you will find it, but it is on the ultimate slide, the last slide of the presentation as well. And of course you can just email me, or I'm sure I'm saying, Adriana, if people would like to email BVI Finance, you could forward them to me perhaps, if you would be so kind. Yeah.
Yes, we'll forward them, and then we share the flyers when the courses come out. But then after this, we can do another blast, so to say, of the contact information. I'll liaise with my team and see if we can get the slide out too. You want to share the slide, Rose?
Yes, very happy. Yeah. Oh, show it. You mean show it now or share it later?
No, we could share it later.
Yeah.
These are the times when technology gets sticky, so we won't test the faith. Let me see if there are any more questions as we come to a close. I'll go through my questions. Anyone else logged in? Do you have any more questions for Rose? Now is the time. I know I myself did one of the short courses, and my fear was missing a class and then having to play catch up. Can you do that in taking either the certification or any of the short courses?
Yes, you can play catch up really quite well. I can't speak for other tutors, but for my classes, they are all recorded so people can catch up. It's, you know, I say generally, if you've missed 2 classes, you don't want to miss the third. Make sure that you catch up by the third, because otherwise it just becomes a lot of learning in a short space of time. But yeah, it's you know, with blended learning, it's far easier now not attend the class or miss out. And I've really made it my business as far as I can with my courses to enable that. Because as I say, we're all professional, we've all got so many demands on our time that I think the easier that you can make it, the better it is.
Yes. I think I wanted to test the waters with putting sharing my screen. No? Oh, I can't share my screen. No, it's saying that I can't. Oh, all right. Well, we'll post all the contact details for persons who are interested in doing the course, or seeing if there's other upcoming courses, or seeing if the timeline matches well. Okay, I'm trying. So does everybody see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure that we got the email or the numbers and the website, so that everyone has an opportunity to see and to call and to inquire on the schedule and when it's best for them or someone they know to pass on the information for persons who may be interested in taking the coursework. And we have, of course, Rose here, who's a compliance expert and author, here at your disposal. You know, please take advantage of the course. I think that we spend a lot of money on a lot of different things, and this to me is a steal of a deal. Now ask me to unshare it.
Aha.
I got it, Rose.
Oh,
Yeah, but we won't tell them all our challenges earlier today.
yeah.
But thank you all for logging in and spending this time with us to talk more about the RMI, and talking with Rose Chapman about the compliance and AML courses offered at the RMI. And there are also some short professional courses like the Introduction to Financial Services too. Maybe if persons are a little bit unsure about compliance, can they take that one, Rose, first?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
All right. So again, once again, thank you for joining us for BVI Finance's Breakfast Forum with my guest Rose Chapman. And be sure to register for our next upcoming Breakfast Forum. Thank you all.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you.
Rose.
Thank you very much. Okay.